This week, we hit the trifecta discussing PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who bid $2.5 million on the Magic the Gathering Lord of the Rings One Ring card as a present for me, only to be outbid by fucking Post Malone. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
Who would you rather have it? Post Malone or one of the Paul brothers?
Post Malone.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
For?
It was 2.6 million, so he beat you by 100,000.
Yeah, I threw a lot into that.
Oh man, it made me sad because I was like, maybe I'll have enough to. Nope.
Not even close.
No, not even close. I'll be surprised if I ever sniff 2.6 million lifetime.
Yeah.
There's a dark joke in there somewhere.
Considering that our generation needs like
just life, I guess, is
4
the dark
million
joke.
to retire or something like that.
Yeah. Living is just the sick joke anymore, I suppose. Yeah. All right, not to get depressing or anything, but let's move on. Tell me about your weekend games.
Nothing too exciting. Started a new game. Show favorite, Days Gone. Finally kind of dug my heels and got into it. Yeah, I really regret buying it on sale. I could use a sequel. I am so engaged in this game.
I love
character development's good. The voice acting is amazing. If you're measuring it in terms of the main character mumbling under his breath for the entire fucking thing, just grade A voice acting. I should say grade A scripting, because I'm sure it's not the voice actor's fault.
Yeah. The dialogue in that game is just, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Almost as tough as the combat. That's good.
Is the combat bad?
I couldn't hit a fucking brick wall in that game.
Interesting. It's been so long, I can't remember.
I don't know. So the main weapon you have right away is a pistol, and the aim, like the reticle that you see on screen, is like a pretty big circle. And it just feels like when I get a headshot, it feels lucky. It feels like there's no skill involved at all.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And then you get like a crossbow too, and I have no idea how to aim it. I have no idea if you can one hit anything with it. It seems like a complete waste of fucking time. So, needless to say, the reason this game didn't get a sequel is because it fucking sucks. I don't know how long I've played it so far. Maybe somewhere between an hour and 2 hours. And it might not be worth my time.
It might not. I thought my general consensus on the game for myself was that this game's fine, but it has a lot of issues. And it's not surprising it didn't get a sequel. That said, there are a lot of games that are like Days Gone, I would say, where you can sit there and go, this has bones. It could benefit from a sequel, but that's not always worth the risk. And like, this isn't an inspiring original idea.
No, I've played this game a million times.
Yeah. You have to stop and find gas to fill up your motorcycle sometimes. Like, that's the most innovative thing that I think they put in the game, and it's a fucking chore sometimes.
Don't call them zombies.
Don't call them zombies. But yeah, I love that you messaged me and said, dude, not buying Days Gone full price is not why it didn't get a sequel. And it's like, oh, you don't say. Like
that was literally maybe 15 minutes into the game.
yeah, and because like I feel like the glaring thing is truly the fucking dialogue. That is the thing that makes me like I can get away, like I can get over like eye roll dialogue, and oftentimes I'm actually totally fine with it. That's not what this is. It's like clunky and like and uh it like gives me like that like what's it like when you hear like a dull like ringing sound, and like you like hear a sound and it's like faint, but like you like hone in on it and like you can't not hear it, and like it like bothers you and like causes like a tick basically.
Like tinnitus kind of.
I don't know what it is, but that's what I get
like
when I listen to Days Gone. I get like this like tick because it's just like you're being edged into like just terrible conversation, and it's just like it's like causing like a visceral reaction in me to like my chest hurts just like listening to the game.
I'll be like going through an area and looting, and the main character will be like,
oh fuck.
oh fuck, a bandage gonna wrap up my arm. And then he just says a whole bunch of other shit that's like not discernible, and I'm like, this sounds like Keanu Reeves going on like a crazy fucking rant, and not in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like he sounds like drunk often. Like he said, like he like slurs his words.
Yeah,
it's just it that definitely was the thing that bothered me.
Oh, it's just I can't believe they QA'd this game and said, yeah, this will do.
But hear me out. Try playing the game with subtitles turned on and the like game muted, because there's gonna be a tell if something's near you. You don't have to worry about environment sounds, right? Because you're gonna see him say, "Oh shit, freaker."
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Give that a try, because I will say that because I'm an animal and I have a 2 TV setup in my living room, I oftentimes play a lot of games muted. And Days Gone was definitely one of those games.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I could just have that on, just kind of get through it and try to enjoy it in the arcadey way.
Yeah, see if that helps. I don't know. Maybe that'll make you realize, like, okay,
this is because I didn't give him any voice I want.
This is fine.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do that, because my other big complaint about the game is that, one, when they do tell you a control, it's on the screen, and then before you can get halfway through the sentence, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other things, like even just changing a weapon. Because like you have like, it looks like a weapon wheel, but it's just for like building ammo or putting on a suppressor. So I was like, oh, okay, that's how I switch weapons. That's not bad. I've seen that mechanic before.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't fucking in it. And so I did figure out that you press triangle to switch weapons. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, at least I kept that mechanic. And if I didn't figure that out on my own, it's not until like 45 minutes into the game that they tell you can do that.
Truly incredible. A technical feat. It is amazing that it hasn't gotten a sequel. I'm glad we got to bash on it for the first 5 minutes of this.
I can't believe, with all the Sony closures that have happened and the consolidation, it's fucking amazing that Bend still exists.
I think Bend has like a lot of faith in it. You know, this was truly its own, like its first like attempt at its own game
in like 25 years, maybe.
Yeah, and so like I don't know, when you take that into consideration, you know, again, that's where I give them some leeway and say like, okay, this game has bones.
They just need to reboot Siphon Filter, and they'll be back on the map. That's all they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, that's enough on that. I played it. I'm going to keep playing it. I don't know for how much longer.
You gotta be honest with yourself, you know?
Yeah.
There's too many games to play in this world. To just like, you'd have to be an insane person to just put up with a game. That's at me.
Yeah, I hear you. I might even be playing that game in like the easiest difficulty. I think there
that's
was an
just
option for that.
yeah, that's just good business.
I'm trying to get through that log of stuff. I've got the PS4 set up, so
Yeah.
So played that. Not really a whole lot else. I did, for the sake of research, play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, nice.
And I played it on xCloud on my phone with like touch controls. It was just because I saw like, I think it was Windows Central that initially reported it, and then Brad Sams today came out with a video talking about like, oh, is xCloud's honeymoon over? He was going through the Reddit post where like people were saying there was like up to an hour of queuing time to get into xCloud.
Oh, interesting.
And it was all altogether a good video from Brad. I tend to like his stuff. He mentions that these xCloud servers are probably running on or in the same server farm as like what's running the new Bing AI, which is like true and not true, because it's not like the servers that are running their Microsoft AI stuff are the same as what's running xCloud, because those are, unless they changed it, literally just Series X's on a server rack. So I don't know. Felt a little doomsday-y. I think a little more than needed to be. But I tried out streaming and did not have a queue at all. Sounds like maybe it's mostly people out of the United States.
Interesting.
So anyway, that was just a little piece of news I wanted to throw in there, but didn't want to talk a whole lot about, because I feel like it's kind of a nothing burger. But the game itself, pretty fun. Reminds me of old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A lot of fucking controls, though.
Yeah.
It was a little difficult to play on a phone screen, but not impossible.
I feel like that's got to be the biggest hold up with playing on your phone is like, if you got the good internet and all that stuff, the connection's going to be good and it's all going to play well, but is the phone screen enough? I feel like that's the only thing that holds it back.
I mean, that's completely a choice to use the phone screen. Like I have an older, I think it was for my Xbox One X controller that has like a claw on it that I can put my phone in and play with a controller, and that works fine. But I didn't have that around when I was trying it, and I'm trying. I've played games, almost complete games, using touchscreen before, and it was fine. Does not seem like this is going to be the one.
Yeah, get that. Well, cool. So that was it. Days Gone and some TMNT.
TMNT, yeah. Can't think of anything else.
Very cool. Very cool. I have an interesting week of games. Because we had some visitors. So I kind of did the thing that I feel like you and Justine have done previously, where you just kind of like download a bunch of Game Pass games and see what sticks. And so the following games were played: Bus Simulator 21. There's a lot going on in that game. You really have to do all the controls of like lower the bus, open the doors. It's a chore. It's a fucking chore. So that didn't last very long. Then we're playing NASCAR Heat 5 because all you have to do is drive fast, turn left. But then even that was starting to get just, to be a little too much. You'll notice that all of these are also have to do with some sort of driving, because then we also played Snow Runner, which is like that mud runner game, but it's with snow. And holy fucking shit, is that game obnoxious and difficult and just like all the things. It's just not it.
Is that just supposed to be like a stupid physics game?
So it feels like it's supposed to be like super realistic. But that's how it ends up playing is almost like stupid physics, because it's just like every second it feels like you're just like sliding all over the place and you're just like wanting to snap your controller in half.
Gotcha.
So played a bunch of those types of games to just like fill time. I also didn't play any of it, but I did get to watch a good bit of The Hunter Call of the Wild, which is just literally a hunting game.
Excellent.
But then outside of that, some games that I played. So I don't think I told you about this last week, but there was a game that's leaving PS Plus called Carmageddon Max Damage. Definitely feels like a game that's made by a bunch of high schoolers. In terms of like the writing and the jokes that are made. You have to find, there's a collectible thing. It's they're called smelly bushes, and every single one of them has a vagina euphemism as the name. So that was obnoxious and annoying, but it was just good fun. It's just like an arena car demolition type game, so just super easy to just kind of kill an hour with, and blow some shit up. And I got the platinum in that, so one more closer to 69. And let's see, I also played. I had just bought Cat Quest because it's always on sale for like no money, and I literally beat it in basically one sitting. Absolute blast of a game, so much fun. Definitely would say it's worth it because it's constantly on sale. I'm super excited to play Cat Quest 2, and now I'm really excited for that Pie Cats of the Caribbean or whatever game that was announced, because it's just paced so well as like a fun little RPG style game. So beat that, got the platinum in that, so I'm also now one additional one closer. So I believe I'm down to needing 31 to get to the coveted 69. And other than that, I started doing the umbrella run in Death's Door to work towards the platinum there. It's very challenging, but very fun. I don't know. Did you play Death's Door? That was on Xbox Game Pass for a bit.
I think it still is. Funny enough, because I get emails, like you can get emails when you wishlist something. So I tend to wishlist like games that leave Game Pass in case I want to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got one for Death's Door today, but when I was going in to mess around with TMNT, I saw Death's Door was on there. So I think it's back.
Interesting. It's a very fun game. It's honestly like a Metroidvania type game.
I've really wanted to play it.
I think you would absolutely love it. I think you would really enjoy it. So coming back around, because I had played it how long ago? Probably like end of last year, and just want to go ahead and remind you that how strongly I feel about this game. It's very good, and I do really think you'd enjoy it.
It is still on Game Pass, so
nice. I also downloaded the PS4 version of Cult of the Lamb and started playing that again, and it is so much fun. I love that game still very much. So I'm going to work on the platinum for that as well. And then Shelby and I played some of The Crew 2 and some more Minecraft Dungeons. So I had a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list.
Very extensive, but nothing had a ton of time spent in it, which is why I had so many. It was a lot of jumping around to games.
I don't necessarily hate weeks like that, though, to be honest with you.
Oh, super satisfying.
Yeah, exactly. It
I
feel like you just... I don't know. Feels like you still did something, even though you really didn't.
Yeah. You collectively did nothing over a lot. And sometimes that's good. So yeah, to provide you with an update, 38 platinums on the year, 31 to go. I need to average 6 a month, basically, from here on out.
Not bad. Doable.
Very doable. All right, let's get into our little news stories. Some just kind of like quick hits more than anything to start us off with both PlayStation and Xbox. Starting with PlayStation specifically, it was reported that they eclipsed the 40 million sale mark, which is just, a cool milestone to touch on. That's a lot of consoles, and I believe, you sent the exhaustive list of what the rankings are. So where's the PS5 officially rank?
So this is from IGN, and I believe it was updated with today's number. They say 40 million plus, so that puts them at 16.
16th.
according to the-
Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy that it's already jumped to that point. And some other reports have been saying that it's like tracking just behind the PS4, which is also like kind of crazy to take into consideration, right? Because this console released during a pandemic, and also had all of those supply chain issues to start, and so it's really picked up speed again here. And you'd have to imagine the sales are only going to benefit with the rumors that sales on the price are coming, with them looking to offload some of their inventory that they have ahead of releasing these, slim version and then the mid-gen upgrade version. Pretty crazy how well it has done.
Yeah, and I mean, we look at Xbox, for example, and as IGN does, we also kind of have to put an asterisk on this because Microsoft doesn't really report their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They evidently revealed that they've sold around 21 million units. It's my understanding that is combined Series X and C.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Again, not confirmed, but
yeah, VG Charts has them at 22.37 million. But yeah, I'm sure that's also kind of a guess number.
yeah. But regardless, it seems pretty clear that they're trailing heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy to me. Like it doesn't feel like PlayStation should be squashing Xbox right now.
I 100% agree. And I know we like talk about it constantly in terms of, leading up to the consoles and everything. The technically better console is the Series X. And, at the time, especially at release, they had Game Pass, and Sony didn't have that. They didn't have anything close to like what the PS Plus you can at least say is close to that now. And so that value was so good, especially you think early on when the early life of these consoles, I feel like just did not have the like games to pull you to the console, like the PS4 did. And maybe I'm misremembering, but like, there didn't feel like a ton of reasons to make the jump. And so like to get more value out of it, I feel like Game Pass would have been like the big thing, but it's crazy. And it mimics, honestly, how the last generation did, because all told, PS4 is sitting at 117 million and the Xbox One is sitting at about 58. So it's like tracking roughly like 50% of what the sales were. So it almost seems like everything is just like, it feels like people are rolling in at like the same rate from like the last gen into just this new gen, and it just seems like crazy. It seems like crazy that we haven't seen like a big swing of people like jumping ship from one to the other.
And I mean, candidly, unless you're like me and you just couldn't get your hands on a PS5 for forever, so you just got an Xbox, there's not a whole lot of reason to switch from PlayStation to Xbox, other than Game Pass. I mean, that's obviously a big sell, but how many people does that actually get? If things were different and I had a PS5 and not an Xbox, well, I don't know how I want to phrase this, but I guess what I'm saying is I would, in most instances, take the first-party PlayStation games over Game Pass if I had to choose.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does, and that's why I'm so happy with this. Like, again, PlayStation says it's not a Game Pass competitor, but I really don't know how you draw it up any other way than like that's exactly what it really is. And it's not on the same level because you don't get like their first party games day one. But like I'm so much happier with paying $70 for the PlayStation exclusive games that I want and having this library than I would be for just paying, what is it, $180 if you get Game Pass Ultimate for a year. And that went up technically a little bit, but to do easy math, I think it was like basically $180.
Yeah, something like that.
Like I'd rather do the 120 plus $70 for each exclusive game that I want over doing just a flat 180. But like that comes down to personal preference, obviously.
It's hard to say because while I wish I could say I would do that, I don't know that I would be happier in that instance. I think having Game Pass definitely suits my life a lot better now. You know, if this were one generation back, let's say Game Pass started with like at the beginning of Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'd be in the same boat. I'm happier to pay the $60 per game to get these games that I really want to play than pay $15 a month for a lot of really good games, but not the story-driven Sony games that I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot better for me right now because I rarely get to sit down and play games for a long period of time. So I'd be kind of mad if I paid $70 for a game and just like never really got to play it, and then something else came out. Whereas like at least with Game Pass, big game comes out, I can start it, and if I get sucked in, I can play it. If not, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm definitely still getting my $15 per month value out of Game Pass.
Oh yeah, I mean I have no doubt about that.
But yeah, it's it'll be interesting. You know, at least Microsoft isn't lying through their teeth saying, "Oh, things are fine." Like they know they're behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that this generation is going to solve it, but with what they're doing in this generation, I think teeing themselves up for next generation. And again, going back to a conversation last week or whatever it was, I think that's why they're not really in a hurry to do a mid-gen update.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll do what all the pundits keep saying they're going to do, and they're just going to sell off Xbox.
Yeah, Sony's going to buy Xbox.
Yeah.
Well,
and the SEC will say, "Yep, perfect deal, get it done."
yeah, they'll say we see no problem with this. Well, while we were talking about Xbox, let's talk about some news from them that I think just continues a streak of wins. So there's been a couple of things. First, where I sent you today, Xbox just announced this today, I believe. Pretty sure I saw it I saw the original tweet about it or the original post on X about it. So apparently, you're able to, starting today, you're able to stream your game on Xbox directly to your friends on Discord. And I think that's just such a neat feature and just an all around great integration of Discord, which is awesome to see. I love this. This is such a nice feature that I'm sure a ton of people won't use. But the use case for it, I think, is really cool, and I can picture the instances where it's useful and nice, and yeah, I think it's a nice little win.
I think that Discord is going to use this to eat Twitch and YouTube's launch. I think Discord is going to become the de facto video game community.
Well, I mean, it really it is kind of,
But in terms of live streaming,
yep,
having it all in one place, yeah, it's cool that you can stream this to your friends. I don't have friends, so I don't see the value. Certainly don't have friends on Xbox. So that's cool. That's fine. Whatever. Seems like it's just kind of beta testing, but I think big picture here, they're going to use this. So if you have a Discord channel that you use to chat and interact with your following, I think ultimately you can now use it as your streaming platform.
Be cool.
And it gets it all kind of centralized into one area and gets more users for Nitro or for Discord and gets more Nitro subscriptions. I just in a general idea, I think this is really good for Discord.
Yeah, I could see this being something that kind of to your point of like building off of how communities would be able to use it, where like you do technically have the ability on like Twitch and I'm sure on YouTube as well and most of the other streaming sites that like you can do sub only streams, so only people who are subscribed to you can like watch. It's like you can effectively do like a watch party where it's like, oh, like this Friday is like a Discord stream, so you have to be a part of the Discord community to be able to like partake in the stream, and it's just like, you know, much more low key, chill, stuff like that. But I think about this like, so friend of the show, Patrickery, Austin, he streams and he does like PC games. So Escape from Tarkov is like a big one. And his one buddy that he plays with streams his screen to the Discord so that like they can like communicate and like show each other, because like his buddy can obviously have the Twitch stream up, but then like Austin's able to see what he's doing like on his screen and like have that pulled up. And I just think that's really cool. Like I think like it wouldn't really work for like Call of Duty, but for like a game like that, like I think, I don't know if we ever really had one. But I don't know, just like any game where like, I guess the main thing would just be having a ping system, but like being able to just show your screen and be like, this is where I'm looking, like that's where we got to go or whatever. The concept of it is there, you know, is kind of cool.
Right.
I love it. I love, you know, no such thing as a bad feature unless it's a feature that you have to opt into, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think it's cool that Xbox is partnering with them on this.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see. It's funny. A lot of now the conversation is like, oh, Microsoft should have spent the money on Discord and not Activision. It's like, why?
Oh yeah, I don't know about that.
They already have the partnership. I don't know. Seems like they have a good partnership there, so they will just keep things rolling there. I don't really know, other than cool feature, I don't know if this really brings users to Xbox.
No, I wouldn't think so. Because I'm pretty sure Sony and Discord have that thing where I think I could have it turned on and you'd be able to see what game I'm playing on PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
I think you can have that like all linked up. I could be wrong, but you can't, like you can see the game title. You can't see my gameplay.
Oh, right,
sorry.
Right.
But I know they were working on it, and I think like we had talked about how like it would make sense if like Discord like chat just became the like de facto thing instead of like needing to go through, because you know there are so many people who game on different consoles and stuff, so it would just make sense to have Discord, because that's where people probably go when they're on different platforms. They probably, you know, communicate in Discord, so like having that integrated right into the console would almost make sense to just have your Discord profile set up instead of it being tied to like, if you're on PlayStation you can only chat in a PlayStation party with PlayStation users, you know what I mean?
Right.
But no, I think it's just like a neat little feature, and I wanted to definitely shout it out. And then you sent me an article from The Verge about how Microsoft is basically like making it easier to repair controllers.
Yeah, so they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is with supporting right to repair, which is awesome to see. So they're directly from Microsoft. a partnership with iFixit, which we've seen a couple companies do, not necessarily in gaming, just other computer hardware companies. And you can buy select parts from the Microsoft Store. Now you can't. I went on and looked at it, and you can't buy enough parts to just like build a controller. Or if you could, it would not be the economical thing to do.
Right.
Yeah, they have. Oddly enough, they have face plates. When I looked, they did not have back plates at all. Because I was considering doing this because the controller that came with my Series X, the rubber that kind of dampens the triggers just like fell off in the controller. And I opened it up and just took the rubber out, and it still works fine, but it's just like it's annoying how brash it sounds now. So I was like, oh, I wonder how much it would be to fix it. Surely I could just get another piece of rubber and glue it in, and that might be the better bet, but for the sake of science. But yeah, I think it's great. You don't have to now go waste $70, $60, $70 on a new controller if one breaks. They're not terribly hard to fix. I mean, the hardest part about fixing electronics is like plastic clips and not destroying shit. They have plastic clips, but not hard to learn. They make toolkits now that make that very easy. So, one, in terms of saving money, it's great. Two, in terms of like saving e-waste. I imagine so many controllers that get thrown away. I mean, I guess I can attest to this because I fixed controllers. I've pretty much every Nintendo controller for the Switch that I've owned, I've already had to fix. I've owned the Switch for like 2 years. It's nice just to be able to not have to throw mostly perfectly good electronics out one part. So really exciting. I'm sure this will kind of fly under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. I have like my brain just like shut off for a second, and I had a hard reset. I love it. Like it's such a pro consumer move, and I wish I wish more people did it. Because like you said, trying to think back, I have 5 PS4 controllers, and 3 of them, the R2 button does not like work in certain games. Mostly racing / driving. So
yeah,
it works. Does it work with shooting? I'm trying to think now. I know the only thing that it does for sure work in is like MLB, because all you do with R2 is like the guess pitch or like bring up the strike zone to see like where a pitch was basically, or what pitches were thrown. That's really all you use it for. So I know it works in that. So like it still registers, but it doesn't register like the amount of pressure or whatever.
Right.
So
and that's fortunately in most cases there you have to replace a whole board, but I think in the next generation of controllers, we'll see the insides be a little more modular too. So and Nintendo with their Joy-Cons do this, and it's great. The analog sticks are just held in by a screw. So if you get one that has drift, you just swap it out. It's just a clip, and it's really, other than the controllers being so small,
right?
It's really not that hard to do. And again, for the consumer, you're saving $60 on getting an entirely new device for one tiny, tiny component that doesn't work.
Right.
And for all of these companies that have specific ESG goals, um, they're not creating products that are going to end up filling landfills.
Right. Well, I will say this. I look forward to the Linus Tech Tips video where he tries to build a Xbox controller from scratch to show you that it is not economically worth it.
Yeah, it's a good cut.
All right. Anything else on Xbox? Any other fun little? I think that was it for our updates.
Yeah, let's carry on.
Let's turn our attention to the final Infinity Stone of the consoles, Nintendo, who has an article out. Well, Nintendo doesn't have it out, but there's an article circulating from GameSpot specifically, and I guess it originates from a VGC article that's discussing Nintendo's next gen console is apparently already with developers, and there's a rough estimated launch of 2024. It doesn't really give any other concrete details, which is good for what we're looking to do. We don't know price. We really don't know any specs. The main thing that we do know is that it is supposedly going to have a portable mode like the Switch. And that's really it. And my favorite thing from this article, like again, with what we're talking about, it's really not that important. But at one point in it, GameSpot says there have been rumors about a more powerful Switch. Nintendo has never confirmed. Nintendo has, however, confirmed that it will launch a new console before the year 2100, which is just so fucking funny. And I love Nintendo for that. What I thought would be fun is, with the fact that we don't really know any of the specs or anything like that, what is like your wish list for a new Switch? It's crazy that like the current Switch just still feels like it's so alive and well that like, yes, technically next year it does make sense for the next one, whatever it is, the next Nintendo console to come. And so I'm just curious, like, do you have any wish lists now that you've had a Switch for some time? Is there anything that you're like, wow, this is like what the next one needs to have? Yeah, just general thoughts.
I think it needs to be an upgraded version of what we have. That's kind of my blanket statement. I think, the same format. I think it essentially just with upgraded internals, which the only reason I think they need that is just to keep up and make sure they can still get firmware updates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think games are going to look a whole lot different on the next console than this one. But it's just so weird to say because Nintendo almost always seems to need to have that killer feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know what that killer feature is in this case, other than just carrying on with what they have.
Yeah, and I'm so inclined to agree. But I do have something to kind of like throw back after I say what I say. So the way I think about it is, think about the transition from the DS to the 3DS. Okay, like you can play all your DS games on 3DS. Did Mario Andretti just like rip by your house? Jesus H.
Yeah.
That was a joke for my dad. Hopefully I pronounced that name right.
Local racer to him.
Yeah, something like that. No, so I think about the transition from the DS to the 3DS, right? So like you can play all your DS games on your 3DS. It's great. The only downfall I would say is that it was like a hard stop, if I remember correctly. Like I don't think anything, and that's obviously a little bit different for console compared to handheld, but like I don't think there was anything that released simultaneously like there's a version for the DS and a version for the 3DS. Like, the only thing that would like maybe have done that is like a Pokemon game. Because I can think back, there is like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red, which is a Red Rescue Team, which is for the Game Boy Advance, and then there's Blue Rescue Team. They're the same game, but Blue Rescue Team is specifically for the DS. So like maybe something like that happened, but otherwise it's like a hard cut. And I think like you'd want some ability to still keep releasing some stuff for the Switch, because asking people to rip the Band-Aid and immediately adopt to the new one might be difficult. And the only other thing I would say is like you don't need a gimmick. I promise you don't need a gimmick. Your gimmick of it's portable and dockable at the same time is the best gimmick you've ever done. You don't need to all of a sudden make it that it's 3D when it's portable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need something like that, I don't think, to try and like push the sales. Because you have a 3DS, right? Do you ever use the 3D feature?
I technically have two 3DSs.
Look at the big dick on Mike. I have three 3DSs.
I believe you. I'm not even going to try to refute that.
No, I actually do. I kind of wish I was joking.
Now that you say it out loud. To be honest with you, I try to use it as much as possible. Now, if I just want to like...
Interesting.
If I want to get like immersed in a game, I use it. Like I will say, for example, one game that I am kind of slowly taking my to get through is Metroid Samus Returns. And I feel like it's a good level of depth. You know, it's a 2D game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't try to do anything insane, just adds good depth to it. Now that I've like when the 3DS first came out, I was like full blast because you know how you can kind of regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was doing it full blast. I was like, this is great. And now I maybe have it at like halfway, so not as much, but just enough to make it fun. But I mean, to go along with what you're saying, no, they don't need anything.
I'm actually very surprised, and I'm a little upset that you actually use it, because I really was hoping that you would dunk on that with me.
No, I think it's... I mean, I literally have...
It's cool. And
3D Sony TV, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, you're a big 3D guy. You like 3Ds at the same time. I think it's cool, right? But like, I often find myself like, I try to use it as well, where I'm like, it's the 3DS, you got to do the thing, and then like about 15 minutes after doing it, my eyes are like, kill me, and then I'm like, okay. But regardless, yeah, I just don't think it needs a gimmick or anything like that. So I think honestly, it's like you said, like it's like keep everything going, you know, keep it simple, keep it safe. That's a Lord of the Rings reference, bringing it all the way back. But yeah, upgrade the stuff in it, right, and get it so that it basically can keep up. The only thing that I think could prove bad about doing that, and so I'm curious what your thoughts are, is that I have this innate fear that, think about how many people had a Wii, and then think about how many people bought a Wii U. And then the Switch blew up, right? And the Switch is amazing. And so many people bought a Switch. If they release something that is basically just the same thing, will that impact its sales, even though it's like the same thing, but it is actually improved in a lot of ways, you know, again, from like specs and stuff like that. And I also challenge this because we often talk about how the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles don't feel like that much of an upgrade over the previous generation, yet the willingness to adapt and jump to the next generation seems so much higher. Yet I feel like there's going to be this innate stigma against Nintendo, because it's Nintendo, where they could release this home run of a console that is exactly the same as the Switch, and it'll end up doing terribly. And am I crazy to think that, or what are your thoughts?
No, I think that's a really good point. And I think we could see a similar situation. Here's my but. And this is the thing that concerns me about a new generation Nintendo console, they're not going to be using an NVIDIA chipset.
Mm-hmm.
If they are, then they're having NVIDIA build one for them, because as far as I know, NVIDIA is not in the market of making mobile chips anymore. And as we've said a million times, Nintendo's using a nearly 10-year-old chip in the Switch, which is unheard of. So I can nearly guarantee they will not be using for the Switch, which means, or not for the Switch, for the whatever the new console is going to be. Which means I'm a little concerned about backwards compatibility.
Yep.
But I think that will be the death blow to the new console, is if it can't play Switch games.
Right.
So I think it will be able to play Switch games, and then they'll just have to work with developers to, or I guess it won't be on the developer, really. It'll be on Nintendo to have the software that can compile code written for an NVIDIA chipset.
Right.
So there's that. That makes me nervous. I don't know how they're going to. And to address your question of, well, if it's not that different, who's going to buy it? I do think we're going to see an incredibly short overlap for games that are available on whatever the new console is and the last generation Switch.
And so you think that'll force the people into the new one? Kind of like I was saying, like instead, like you think they're going to kind of go the hard cutoff route that the handhelds do, where like whatever the first 3DS game was that was released just for the 3DS.
Yeah.
I don't think that's crazy. Like I don't think you're wrong in that thought. My hope is that that's not what happens. But
the thing is I don't think it's going to piss many people off, so Nintendo can get away with it.
That's completely fair. Yeah. Also, the general assumption here should be that like this console will likely fall in the $300 range.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be paying $500 for it.
And if Nintendo's smart, that's what they're going to do. They'll keep it cheap.
Yeah.
And obtainable. But yeah, that's my biggest concern is like you think about how many people, the Switch was perfect for I'll say people who label themselves as casual gamers, right? Or people who were looking to get back into gaming, especially thanks to the pandemic. So like I'm sure some of the numbers can definitely be attributed to that. But that just kind of mimics the Wii in a lot of ways, where it's just like everybody had a Wii, and it was like this, like it was a family thing, and like everybody could use a Wii, and it just like it put itself in this like perfect box, and that's exactly how the Switch feels again, and that's why I worry, because it's like, oh yeah, there was something between the Wii and the Switch,
right?
And not enough people. And maybe it was the naming of it. Maybe it was whatever. But, there was this disconnect. And it feels like the wires are connected again. And I just worry, will we see another disconnect?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I honestly can tell you. I think Switch made the perfect Nintendo made the perfect console on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the same people that were adopting the Wii. I mean, you're getting video game consoles into households that wouldn't have had them otherwise.
Right.
And in addition to that, you're getting the households that already have a PlayStation or an Xbox. You're getting those houses too. I mean, they are the manufacturer that are getting consoles into every single house. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I'm stumped with what their next move is, and to hear that it's coming out next year. And I think the Call of Duty deal is a little telling.
Yeah.
They wanted Call of Duty on there so bad, or at least Microsoft wanted to pitch that. So we know it's going to be beefier. It'll probably be able to play close to PS5 and Series X quality games, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the big up. Maybe you're just getting this generation of games, of third-party games, onto console, but I feel like that's also what the Wii U tried to. You know, the Wii U was getting PS3 and Xbox 360 level games onto the console when they should have been looking ahead to now with the Switches. So I don't know. It's weird. Other than the very simple, like, yeah, be able to output at 4K and the battery will last 2 decades or whatever. I don't know. Built-in projector, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I had all these thoughts, right, where I was just like, oh man, a new Switch is coming. They have the easiest path to just a home run, which is release the same exact console.
Right.
And then I like sat there and thought about it, and I was just like, but if you just simply release the same console and you're Nintendo, I don't know if you like will be able to get away with it in like the court of games. And they should, right? Like they should be able to, because it's gonna be stronger and all that stuff. But yeah, that was just like came out in the back of my head, and like, I was talking to Shelby about it too, and she was kind of just like saying the same thing, where she's just like, Nintendo kind of gets put in this weird, they gets pigeonholed so constantly, and we saw it from the the Microsoft, the Activision, Xbox lawsuit, right, where it was just like, Sony, Xbox. And it was just like, what about the Switch? Like,
right.
Why do we just constantly forget about Nintendo? It's because they do their own thing and they have this like release cycle that's perfect and all this other stuff. But sometimes they don't get as much slack. Sometimes they get more slack, just depending. And this is just an instance where I kind of have this sinking feeling that if they do just do the obvious right thing, it'll actually be the wrong thing to do. But I would hate to see them try to do a gimmick and have that be the cause of what causes them to fall flat. So, and I just don't know what possible gimmick you could do, right? Like with the Wii, you did motion controls, and that was fucking insane. And then with the Switch, you do this like hybrid. Well, I guess the Wii U is also, right? Like docked but somewhat portable, with the gamepad.
That was the point.
Yeah. But with the Switch, they really, with the Switch, they really nailed it, right? Because it was like you could truly take it on the go.
Yeah, we have proven over the past 3 years that people do not want innovation in this space. Like we look at cloud gaming. I mean, we've essentially been through an entire life cycle the past 3 years, and what has prevailed in terms of portable gaming? Something that can fucking play the game in your hands. You can take it anywhere. You don't have to stream. Like, yeah, is cloud gaming the future? Probably, but it's hard to say. I mean, people just want something that works, and the Switch works. And to move from my playing a game in my hands to playing it on a screen, I plug it in with one cable, essentially. It's obviously an overstatement, but they've got something that works.
Yeah. And if it ain't broke.
Yeah, I think the only thing that makes sense in my head is that they're going to go the arm twisting method. And that, hey, I guess we don't technically know that, like, the new, like, Peach game, for example, is coming to Switch. Do we?
So, no, I don't think we know about that. I did think that the Super Mario Wonder or whatever is coming to Switch.
Yeah, it is.
But also, so that's the other thing. That's the other thing to consider, I guess, is that maybe you won't be able to play Switch games on the new console, but because of how maybe there will be enough of an overlap where they can do like dual releases because of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to think. I get so caught up in like is it going to be backwards compatible? It should be backwards compatible, but would it be better if it wasn't backwards compatible? Or, or is ripping the Band-Aid of like, if you want to play this new game, you can only play it on this console. Is that the better move? It's tough. It's a tough position to be in. And it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
here's how you sell to the masses. Just an upgraded Switch, okay, like we've been talking about. But the dock has a Wii disc drive
Oh.
that can also play GameCube on.
Oh. Game over. Also, it has a cartridge slot for Nintendo
DS,
64.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, well, that too.
Nintendo 64, SNES, and it's a super ugly console, and it's not portable whatsoever.
It just looks like one of those like stupid Alibaba knockoff consoles
Yeah.
that can play everything.
Oh my god. That would be fun. It would be fucking insane if it had a second cartridge slot where you could play DS games. That would sell. And then the second-hand game market would go absolutely berserk.
Yeah.
And that would be bad. So don't do that, actually.
I just like, not to belabor this, but what is the stupid technology that has come out since the Switch that would get it? I mean, like, the only thing I can think of is like, since everybody's compared every foldable screen phone to the DS.
Yeah. Folding, yeah. I don't know. That would be that would be bad. I would not like that. Do not make a foldable Switch. I don't know. That's why it makes me nervous too, right? Like, it's just like, don't try to do something.
Yeah.
Because it could be really great, but it could also be really, really bad.
Don't add mobile data. Like, don't put 5G in it.
Yeah. Man, I'm really eager. I'm kind of like excited, right? Because if what we're being told, if we're to believe what we're being told, it means we're looking at this thing coming out in literally just over a year. And that means we should start to hear more about it. And I was late to the Switch game, and I'll wait and see a little, but I think I might be bullish enough to try and be like in on this next one like right away.
Yeah.
But again, some of my gut check stuff has me a little nervous about doing that, and then also I remember the Vita and I cry.
Yeah. I feel like I would probably wait since we got in on the Switch. We basically have an entire generation of games to play.
I hear you. Yeah. I was technically only late to the Switch by like 2 years. Is that right? 2018 or 2019 is when I got it, and it came out in 2017. So, I'm excited. Anything else? Throw out just a bold prediction for it.
I'm using a Mac, of course. I don't have an easy. Okay. Calendar. There it is. So we said it's coming out in 2024, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm gonna say. Okay. This one is for 1S. Yes. I'm going to say it's going to come out on November 12th.
Okay.
2024.
All right.
And I think it's going to be $349 USD.
Okay.
What did the Switch start at? 300?
Yep, I think so. And I think they stayed pretty steadfast on that. But then maybe the OLED was 350, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna stick with 350.
I like it.
And it's going to launch with Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. That's a really bold and like super specific prediction on like multiple fronts. Sorry, I'm marking this down for prosperity's sake.
I said 350.
Oh, you did say 350. I'm editing this for prosperity's sake. Also, I shouldn't call it the Switch. I should call it the Switch 2, and then put a little question mark. There we go. All right. My prediction is, and it's not going to have to do with the release date or our price or anything like that. My prediction is that the dock, won't be like as necessary of a piece as it is for the current Switch. So the way that you get it to like come up on your TV will be the innovation for the generation, for the new console. Which is kind of a lazy prediction, but
it's funny.
Effectively, I'm thinking like no dock or very minimal, whereas like the current one is like a dock,
Do you think it's not going to have a dock, or do you think option like you can cast it to it?
I'm thinking like no dock.
Okay. So how do you charge it and play and connect peripherals?
You can charge it right now without the dock.
Well, yes. But so you're thinking like if you're setting up for a long session, you're just plugging it into the wall and it's connecting wirelessly to the TV.
I don't know about wirelessly, but I think maybe there's going to be something. Like they're going to put some sort of fucky port onto it.
It's going to go back to like an old VGA with thumb screws and all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll still have to use an adapter to convert it to.
Yeah. All right, minimal dock. No dock, no dock / minimal dock. But yeah, like you said, like or maybe there's like a casting technology as a part of it or something.
I mean, how often have you traveled with the Switch and wanted to like be able to put like in a hotel room or something, and not like bring an extra dock with
you? How often have I wanted that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not super often, but like knowing that you'd be able to like not need to bring this extra piece with you or have like a separate one for travel specifically would be like ideal.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like you bring the Switch to a bar and you're sitting there drinking by yourself playing the Switch, and the bar has TVs and someone's like, "Hey, cool Switch. Want to play Mario Kart?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm going to cast this up to the TV behind the bar. And it's just two lonely men playing Mario Kart together.
Yeah. Or like you're going to see your third screening of Oppenheimer and you're like, but I've already seen it a couple of times. So you bring your Switch with you and somebody goes, "Hey, cool Switch. I don't really want to watch this movie anymore. What if we cast it up on on the fucking theater screen?" Yeah, okay. And then you're just two lonely men sitting in a theater alone.
Or you're a Mets fan.
Uh-oh.
And you're sitting at the ball field who just got a screen, which I'm assuming you get that reference.
Yes.
And you say, "Hey, team really sucks. Let's play Switch up on the big screen."
I don't want to watch the product on the field. I'd rather watch that product in your hands, but up on that Jumbotron. Incredible. Incredible. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for more details around this.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they do. Nervous, anxious, but also excited. To the Switch. Well, that does it. Let us know if you have any bold predictions in the comment section on YouTube, or I think on Spotify at least. You can leave comments there maybe. I don't know. But if you can, do it. And you can also...
Maybe on Discord.
Yeah, maybe we should spin up a GGBG Discord. But yeah, that's a nice reminder to go over to our YouTube channel, because that's probably the best place to leave a comment is on the video that isn't really a video, but the upload of the podcast over there. But let us know if you have any bold predictions for the next Switch. And let's see, what's another call to action? It's important to do these. The PS5 has sold 40 million thus far. Where do you think it's going to end up on the all-time list when it's all said and done? Do you think it'll make it up to the PS4? Do you think it'll pass it? Do you think it's going to pass the PS2? Probably not. But yeah, leave us a prediction there as well. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. As always, be sure to leave us a rating or a review wherever you do decide to listen to us. And just be sure to come back next week, because if you don't, we'll be sad. And additionally, share it with a friend. And we will talk to you next week.